Hey everyone, it's Matt. I'm a little bit irritated. We have the details of this stimulus proposal from the 10 Republican senators that we talked about this morning and last night with that letter that they submitted to Joe Biden. Well, guess what? It's not exactly what we were thinking. So I do have the details, which I want to discuss with you. So with that being said, let's get into it and we can talk about where do we go from here now that we have this proposal on the table. But quickly, before we do, if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for checking me out. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you. I truly do appreciate your support. Make sure to share this video or any others here on the channel with your friends, family, and social media so we can help out as many people as we possibly can. All right, so like I talked about in this morning's video, if you didn't catch it, feel free to check that one out. Otherwise, my video last night, I talked about this letter that was submitted by a group of 10 Republican senators. They sent Joe Biden this letter and say, hey, Joe, we want to meet with you. We have a stimulus proposal. They're going to be releasing the details today, and we have the details of their proposal. So let's get into the exact details. What does this include, and where do we go from here with all of this? So it's coming in. All right, let me say this much. Remember, Joe Biden, his proposal is $1.9 trillion. He continues to reiterate that the risk is not going too big with stimulus, but rather the risk is going too small. Now, these are his words, okay? So that's what, we just have to remember that because that's what's important to him. All right, so here's where we stand. His was $1.9 trillion. Here's where we have with the proposal from these 10 Republican senators. Their proposal has a price tag of $618 billion. $618 billion. Within that, they have the following. Remember, they wanted to make this a very targeted bill for those individuals who need it the most. So, what does it contain? Well, it contains a weekly stipend or a weekly amount for unemployment benefits of $300 through June. In Joe Biden's proposal, he wants $400 through September. So they're shaving a few months off there and then keeping it at the current rate of $300 per week for the unemployment benefits. At the same time, there's $20 billion in there allocated for childcare, another $20 billion in there allocated for schools, $50 billion allocated for small business. That would be another round of the PPP. And there's $160 billion in there for vaccine distribution. Now, what about stimulus checks? Yeah, they're in there. Let's talk about that right now. All right, so here is where things got a little bit different. However, I have to say, I kind of called it in my last few videos. All right, so here we are. Stimulus checks. Joe Biden in his plan is saying $1,400 across the board for everybody. $1,400 for adults, dependents, and adult dependents. That's what's in Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion package. Here is the difference in this proposal. $1,000 stimulus checks for adults, $500 for dependents, $500 for adult dependents. You got that? So there's a very big difference there when it comes to especially the dependents. The dependents really get chopped on this one. They go from getting $1,400 in the other proposal to $500. Well, like I said in my other videos, how many of you spent your $600 stimulus check immediately? Stimulus check number 2, the $600. How many of us had that $600 spent before we even had it, right? It doesn't go very far these days, right? $600 simply does not go very far. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're saying. $1,000 for adults, $500 for dependents, and yes, adult dependents are included in this proposal as well. Here's something else that changed, and I actually mentioned this in some of my other videos, foreseeing something like this would be coming, and here we have it. The income phaseouts. The income phaseouts on this new proposal is for those individuals earning as a single person $40,000. Anybody earning under 40 grand a year would get the full $1,000 stimulus check. However, there's that phase out. There's a phase out period from $40,000 to $50,000. If you earn $50,000, you get zero. That's the phase out. For a couple earning $80,000 would get the full stimulus check. However, earning up to, there's that phase out period from $80,000 to $100,000 per year. If a couple earns 100 grand, they get zero. The phase out is up to $100,000. So, like I said in my other videos, hey, I wouldn't be surprised one bit to see the income thresholds drop down to about 50 grand. Well, you know, I'm off by a little bit, but pretty close, I have to say. So, again, this is making it highly, highly targeted for those individuals who are in the lower income the lower income brackets, who are most at risk and who are most in need right now, like what they said in these proposals. Now, what does this mean? One quick side note. This group of 10 Republican senators is actually going to be meeting with Joe Biden at the White House later today. So we'll have to see what happens in this meeting and what actually comes out of this. All right, so let's talk about what this means going forward. Where do we stand with all this? Let's think of this, just kind of like critically and logically for just a second. So Joe Biden came in with this $1.9 trillion package. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, something that is very important to him is not the risk of going too big, but rather the risk of going too small. Now, this package is less than 1/3 of what he proposed. His is 1.9 trillion. This is 618 billion. That's less than 1/3 of the price. Now, remember that quote I just said from Joe Biden. The risk is not going too big, but rather going too small. Would he define something going less than 1/3 of the price tag that what he proposed? Would that be considered too small? I think a lot of us, without even knowing what Joe is thinking, Biden, whatever, without even knowing what he's thinking, can many of us agree that this would probably be too small by his standard? Yeah, absolutely. What's going to come out of this meeting tonight? I mean, honestly, probably not much. The reason I say probably not much is he's meeting with them to hear what they have to say, but realistically, there's no way that they're going to entertain this idea of $618 billion in the form of a stimulus package. There's just no way. He's already made it very clear that he will compromise, but he wants something very close to what he has proposed. What is his bottom dollar? We don't know. He hasn't told us, and he won't tell us. But I highly doubt it's going to be 600 billion. He might go down to like 1.5, 1.4 trillion, something like that at the lowest, but that's probably about it. So it's nice that we have this proposal on the table. That's great. It might give some ideas as far as how to structure this $1.9 trillion package. But at this point, I don't think we should really get all worked up about this thing, saying, oh my gosh, this is really scary. It doesn't include much. Realistically, there's just possibly no way that this is going to happen. There's just no way. It's so far off from what Joe Biden and the Democrats are thinking right now that they're not even going to entertain this. I mean, great, thank you for your opinion is basically what they're going to say, and then they're going to move on with the 1.9 trillion. Now again, maybe this results in them coming together and negotiating the 1.9 down to something more like the 1.5 range or so trillion. You never know. Maybe it gives them some ideas of how they can implement different provisions within the $1.9 trillion package. You just never know. But here's what we have. This is one proposal on the table along with the 1.9. We'll have to see if the problem solvers come out with their own proposal within the next couple days. But otherwise, it still sounds like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are going to start moving forward with their budget resolution, which would be the first step in the budget reconciliation process to get that $1.9 trillion package jammed through Congress as quickly as they can. So I wanted to bring this to you. Yep, it's not quite what we were thinking. But at the same time, we probably shouldn't get too worked up about it because honestly, there's probably just no way that they're going to take this deal. Realistically, there's just no way it's going to happen. So either way, I want to keep you posted. I hope this helps you out. I'll do whatever I can to help all of you in this community. Thank you so much. I'll continue doing my research and keep you posted with any new information. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, everybody. See you later.